Welcome friends for our lecture series of the course Marketing Research and Analysis 2. In the last lecture we are discussing about some of the measures of the central tendency and what is the why they are called, why it is called central tendency, and what is the basically the use of them in the marketing research. So, we discussed about things like what is mean, median, and we had started with mode, and let us see. So, as if you remember, mean is nothing but the average, right. So, when you take, suppose why it is required, for example, let us understand a company who is let us say selling let us say biscuits, for example, right. Now, it wants to know whether can it make pack biscuits, sell biscuits in a way that it is consumed on a daily, or if not biscuit, take bread, for example. Now, that the bread would be consumed on a daily basis, right. So, can it make a package for small families where of a member of a member size of 4, for example, so that the packet is remains fresh, it is once it is opened, then it is consumed and it is over. So, if it can do this, then people need not store unnecessarily. So, and they will not have to pay in also more because of a large size packet. So, to understand this, what it does is basically it tries to make a study of observing several families of such 4 where 4 members are there, a small nuclear family, and sees what is the basic consumption pattern. Now, if it takes for example and sees that the consumption of one family is, let us say 8 slices, in another family it is 13 slices, it is let us say one is 8 slices, one is 13 slices, one is 11 slices, one is 9 slices, one is 16 slices, right. So, suppose it takes such data. Now, it says what is the best way of making it. Now, let us take the average of it. Now, average for example 25 plus 36 39 49 57. So, 57 divided by 1 2 3 4 5. So, 57 by 5, that is equal to if 57 cannot be made, either we make it let us say 55 or 60 for example. So, to divide easily, so 11 or 12 slices let us say, right. So, it makes a packet of let us say 11 or 12 slices and it can sell it in the market. That is one way of understanding from a marketing point of view. Similarly, the question is, when will the research the company use the median? The median it will use only to understand that in a particular location, for example, how would I divide, for example, let us say this case only. Now, if I arrange it in order, how does it look? 8, 9, 11, 13 and 16. So, what is the middle point? Now, obviously this is the middle point. So, 11. So, now you see here also we got somewhere around 11, here also we are getting a 11. Now, suppose it finds that this is the middle point. So, this middle point cuts the entire line, maybe this is the line, for example, this is the line into 2 parts basically, right. So, this is basically to understand and tell the marketer well, the people are this is the middle point of all the, if you look at the consumption, this is the middle point of the consumption, right. So, this sometimes why it is good is because if you see the middle point is not affected by any extreme value. For example, in this case, had it not been 16 and something around let us say 14 or let us say 13, right, 14, let us say 14, or if you add another variable, suddenly suppose one family is consuming 30, let us say 30 slices, remove this 30. So, if you look at what is happening, 57 plus 30 is 87, 87 divided by 6 is suddenly 6 1 6 7 8 2 7, almost let us say 15 slices. Suddenly you see the number of slices has grown up from 11 to 15 almost, okay. So, this is what is happening, this is a problem with the mean. The mean is getting affected by extreme values. The extreme values could be a very high value or it could be something like only let us say 4 slices. So, there also any very small or very large value is affecting the mean, but that does not happen in the case of the median, because the median, had it been, if you bring in a 30 also, suppose I take out this one and put in the 30, still my middle point is the 11 only, right. So, that is the advantage of a median. The median is utilized whenever you see there is a case of some outliers or extreme values present in the data set. Now mode, when is the mode being used by the marketer? The mode is, for example, let us say take there is a packet of, let us say packs of the company has produced packs of 8 slices, 10 slices, 12 slices, 14 slices, 16 slices. It has done 5 packets, right, and it wants to see how many of these are sold in the entire month. Now this is 100 packets, this has been sold let us say 150 packets, this has been sold 300 packets, right, this has been sold 160 packets, this has been sold let us say 120 packets. Now the company imagines well, this is the one which has got the highest frequency, that means people are more interested to buy, a large number of people are more interested to buy a packet of 12 slices of bread, right. So this gives an idea for the company well, it is better, and suppose you can make it more explicit by understanding which location or which kind of families are, that is a different part of the data analysis, but at least specifically to understand, if I can use, if I can know that mostly the people are buying a bread packet which has got 12 slices in it, then it becomes, then this is the highest frequency which is called the mode, right, and this mode helps to a company to make more, produce more of that, and so that the consumers always buy that, and that also helps in its production process and selling process, okay, the marketing process. So mode is that value of an observation which occurs most frequently in the data set. Now I hope you understood how mode is being used in the marketing perspective, right. Okay. Now let us see how do you calculate. Now this is given the frequency distribution of sales per day, 53 to 56 sales volume, 57 to 60, this is XYZ product maybe, right, 61 to 64 the ranges are given to you, class interval is given to you. Number of days, how many days it is being sold at this interval, now this is for this is 2, 4, 5, 4, 4, 1. Now if you see the highest is here, correct, the highest is here. So the highest frequency is 5, which is reflecting the class interval of 61 to 64. So maximum time the 61 the people are buying whatever it is, the sales volume is lying in between 61 and 64, okay. How do you calculate mode? Now if you want to use it, you can use it. Now this is how you see, the formula is this one, mode is calculated by this formula. Now what is this, let us see, the formula is L, this L you can see here, L is nothing but the lower limit of the model class interval. Now lower limit in this one, in this case when this is your highest frequency, let us say the lower limit is 61, okay. F m minus 1, so what is F m minus 1, this one, frequency of the class preceding the mode class interval, preceding, just preceding. So which one is the preceding? Now this one is the preceding, okay. F m plus 1, what is that? Now F m plus 1 is this one we are talking about, right. The frequency of the class following the mode class. Now what is following? Sorry, the following is this one, correct. So you have preceding, you have following, okay. So this one is for the preceding, this one is for the following, okay. Now using this, and Fm obviously is the mode, that means of the frequency of the highest one, right. So this one, correct. So now using this, what you have done, you have one more thing is important, what it is saying, you see here, since the largest frequency corresponds to the class interval of 61 to 64, it is the mode class. So we have L is equal to 61, F m is equal to 5, right, F m minus 1 is equal to 4, F m plus 1 is equal to 4, and H is equal to 3. Now what is this 3? Let us see. So this difference, the height, this difference is the 3, okay. So now this entire value becomes how much? Now 61 plus 5 minus 4, right, divided by 10 minus 4 minus 4. Now just look at it, if you can see L is equal to 61, Fm is 5, so 5, Fm minus 1 is 4, right, 2 Fm, so 2 into 5, right, 2 into Fm 10, minus Fm minus 1 is 4, Fm again minus Fm plus 1 is 4. So this is when you do, so this one is becoming total is becoming 62.5, right. So you can calculate 65 minus 4 1, So, 61 plus 1 divided by 2 into 3. So, this is equal to 62.5, correct. Okay. So, now I hope you have understood. Basically when you talk about mean, median, mode, generally we talk it from a very only research process, but we do not connect it with sometimes many times with the marketing perspective. So, as a marketer, how do you use this mean, median and mode is very important to understand. Okay. What is the relationship? In a unimodal means why it is called unimodal? One mode. When there is only one mode and the data is symmetrical, the values of mean, median and mode are equal, right. In other words, this is what happens in the a proper normal distribution. This is what we are saying, mu, median and mode, right, all lie at the same line. In other words, when these three values are not equal to each other, the distribution is not symmetrical. Now, that is very interesting. When these mean, median and mode are not equal, that means the mean is not equal to mode or any one of them is not equal to the median, whatever. In such a condition, the distribution is a not symmetrical distribution, right, and it has some of its values either to the right or left of the mode. Now, mode, why this is the mode? Because this is obviously the highest frequency, right. How do you see, there is Karl Pearson has suggested relationship. Karl Pearson, the very famous Karl Pearson's correlation and all you have understood, you must have heard. So, he says, gives a formula that mean minus mode, mean average minus the mode is equal to 3 times the mean minus the median. Since mean and median is very close, the difference between the, is very, there is a middle point and it is also very close to this. So, he has given a formula mean minus mode is equal to 3 times the mean minus the median, or you can use it mode is equal to 3 median minus 2 mean. Okay. You can use this same formula and find out this one. Now, look at this diagram and it will be more clearer to you. In the first case, this is a symmetrical case, as you can see, right, mean, median, mode are all lying in the same place. But if you look at this graph, now this looks like a tilted, it is slightly tilted, correct. So, here what has happened, the highest peak, the highest is at this point. So, this is my mode, correct, highest, this is the highest point frequency. So, this is my mode. The middle point which cuts it into equal parts is the median and this is this part, right. But what has happened is most of the data are moving towards the, now you need to understand that we have a 0 point and this is the positive and this is my negative. So, when my tail is more towards this positive side, then I am saying it is skewed to the right. That means, when the mean is moving more towards the positive direction, this positive, right, plus this is plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus infinity, this is minus infinity side. So, this is the skew to the right. Similarly, if you look at this tail is more towards the left, right. So, the minus value, minus side, negative side. So, that is why it is called a skew to the left. People try to remember it many a times. I have seen when I ask students, they try to think, oh, what is positively skewed, sometimes they get confused. No, you should only be understanding this much, ki the tail is moving to which direction, is the tail tapered toward, moving towards the negative side or positive side. If it is moving towards the positive side, then it is a positive tail distribution. If it is right tail or positive tail, or it is a left tail or negative tail if it is moving to the negative side. Okay. Now, let us look, this is very important and you should be very clear because your data analysis gets affected by these things. If most of the values of observation in distribution fall to the right of the mode as shown in figure B, right, figure B, this is the figure B, right, it is said to be skewed to the right or positively skewed. Distributions that are skewed right contain a few unusually large values of observations, right. In this case, what happens? Mode remains under the peak, obviously highest frequency. So, let us say this one, for example, this is as I showed here, and in this case this is my mode. Okay. The median and the mean move to the right, the median, the middle point and the average, they are moving towards the right, right, for a right tail distribution, right. Now, is it not true? Let us see, they are moving towards the right, so they are shifting. Okay. In such a condition, the order of magnitude looks like this, mean is greater than median is greater than mode, right. So, the mean is the largest value, then the median and then the mode. But if you look at the other side, the other side, which is the skewed to the left. In such a condition, what is happening? If the distribution is skewed to the left or negatively skewed, the lower magnitude are concentrated more to the left of the mode. Okay. So, left of the mode, this side. Okay. The mode is again under the peak as usual, mode does not change, but the median and mean now move to the left. Okay. So, the order of the magnitude now becomes mode is the highest, then mode is greatest, mode, then median, right, and then followed by the mean. Okay. So, this is how it looks, right. So, here the mean is becomes the smallest, and in the positively skewed the mean was the highest, right, it was the lowest in the left skewed, and positive skewed it was the highest. Key point. Now, this is very important. For a single peaked skewed distribution, which is that means non-symmetrical, the median is preferred to the mean. Why? What is the reason? The median is preferred because, as I explained in the bread slice case, because the median is the middle point, it is not affected by any extreme value. So, because it is neither influenced by the frequency of occurrence of a single observation as mode, nor it is affected by extreme values. That is why in such a condition the median is the best thing, right. You should be very clear with it, right. I hope you are understanding the meaning of these things, mean, median and mode, and its connection with the real life terms, real life situations. The comparison between the measures of central tendency. Choice of method. How do you decide? The choice of method to use for describing a distribution of values of observations. Please understand, when you are talking about distribution of values means we are generally saying when we are trying to create a plot of data, right, and see how the data is, random data is distributed. So, that is what we are interested. The distribution of data is what is interest for the researcher. He is trying to see how is the distribution distributed. Is it symmetric? Is it skewed to only one side, maybe to the right, to the left, or whatever it is, right? How do you do that? So, when you are having such a problem, the characteristics of these three differ from each other. So, what is saying? The choice to use any one of these three means these three is mean, median, mode, is mainly guided by the characteristics. Now, what is the characteristics? These three. Presence of outliers. As I said, if outliers are present, then the mean is the first thing that will get affected, right. So, you cannot use them. Shape of the distribution, from that you can also understand, and status of the theoretical development. Let us see what does it mean. Now, if there are outliers, that means very small or very high values, median is not sensitive, we have understood, right, since it only depends on the number of observations and the value lies in the middle, right, whereas mean is calculated using all data which is sensitive. Obviously, smaller the number of observations in a data set, greater the influence of any outlier. If you have large data set, maybe the effect of outliers would be nullified, would be decreased, but if you have a smaller data set, it is still more dangerous, right. Median is said to be resistant to the presence of outliers, first thing. Okay. Shape. In general, median is preferred to the mean as a way of measuring location for single peaked skewed distributions. That means single peaked, but a skewed distribution. One of the reasons is that means the positive or the negatively skewed distribution. It satisfies the criterion that the sum of the absolute, see this term is extremely important because you need to connect it not only here but everywhere. Absolute difference. Now, what is this absolute difference? That is the absolute error of judgment of median from values in the data set is minimum. Why? Because it is at the middle point, right. So, x is the any variable minus the median is always the minimum. And this, why I am saying it is important, because also when you draw regression lines, when you are talking about variance, you are basically trying to see how much the data is moving from a particular point, maybe that is the mean or something, but how much it is moving, and this movement is very important in real life, because also you understand when you have large data pools and you see something, we say, okay, well I want to know how much does it move from the mean, then only I can understand whether should I be going for this particular product or not. If it is it is moving sufficiently from the mean, that means it might be having a different requirement, it is a different product altogether, right. In other words, the smallest sum of the absolute errors is associated with the median value is a data set as compared to either mean or mode. Okay. Now, when data is multimodal, that means what? There is now two frequencies or more than two higher frequencies, that means two modes, one not one mode, but more than one mode. There is no single measure of central location, and the mode can vary dramatically from one sample to another, particularly when dealing with small samples. So shape of the distribution and the outliers. Now, the third thing, they are affecting the study. The third is also similarly, we are having a intention, this is what I was telling in the last slide also. The intention of any researcher is to see that there is the minimum sum of the squared deviations. Now, what are the squared deviations? They are the error terms. Error does not mean actually error, please understand, error actually is the unexplained part. So, when you are talking about this unexplained, the squared deviations, if it is very high, that means what? Our unexplained variance is more, right. So, we need to minimize, so least square regression or variance, whatever you talk about. So, the criterion of the sum of squared deviations is also called least, this is what I was talking about, least square criterion, right. Since arithmetic mean satisfies the least squares criterion, it is mathematically consistent with several techniques of statistical reference. That is, since this central tendency measures, for example, the mean, median, mode, and especially the mean also sometimes, many a times, is they follow this, they are consistent with this least square criteria. That is why mostly you see that the mean is largely utilized for any data analysis tools as the basic platform upon which other techniques are built upon, right. Now, coming to something called the interquartile range. Now, what is this interquartile range? Why should you the word quarter, you must have heard. What is this? First let us see. It is a measure of variability based on dividing a data set into quartiles. Now, why it is important? The values that divide each part are called the first, second and third quartiles. For example, just remember first quarter, second quarter, a company has a first quarter report, second quarter report, right, second quarter report, third quarter report. So, it has divided basically into several quarters, right. How do you measure this quarter and why it is important? Because this quartile range helps in measuring your dispersion, is measuring your variability. Okay. So, how do you measure? Suppose there are some numbers given to you, first put the numbers in orders 1, 2, 5, you can see they are all put in order. So, 1 being the lowest, 27 being the highest, and they are all in order. Find the median. So, what is the median? How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, if 11 points are there, so which is the middle? Now, 11 plus 1 by 2. So, the sixth one is equal to 6. So, sixth one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, this is my median. Okay. Group the numbers above and below the median. So, these numbers are grouped, these numbers are grouped, right. So, there are 1, 2, this is 2, this is 3. This is find Q1 and Q3. So, this is Q1 in this case, which is the Q1. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there are 5 values. So, the middle point is this one, and in this one the middle point is 18. So, right now Q1 is equal to 5 and Q3 is equal to 18, right. Subtract Q1 from Q3. So, if you divide or by the whatever you do, so you get this number, right. So, this number in fact in real life what does it mean? It tells you ki what is the difference of the maybe the sales between the third quarter and the first quarter. So, if this sales difference is very high, then either there is a seasonality factor or there is some change in consumer behavior, change in some technology that has come up in the market, maybe there is a substitute that has emerged which is new and it has changed the entire sales process. Something has happened in the market and now research has to be done, what is the reason why there is so much of variability. Okay. Similarly, standard deviation is another important measure that you need to understand. A quantity expressing by how much the members of a group differ from the mean value for the group. Now, this is population standard deviation, this is sample standard deviation. So, you need to understand population standard deviation when we are taking the observed value minus the population mean, right. So, when we are trying to see how much is the data set or the values in the data set different or moving away from the population mean, the sum of it and the square of it divided by n whole root over is nothing but called my standard deviation. If you remove this this square root, if you remove this square root and you just square this one, then it is called as variance, nothing more than that. In the sample case, what is happening, instead of mu which you do not have, the population mean you do not have, you take the samples mean only. So, xi, right, minus x bar square by n minus 1. So, you are dividing it by minus 1 degree of freedom, right. So, this is giving me my standard deviation. Okay. After these measures you have understood, I have briefed you these measures so that you are clear when you are dealing with data analysis, okay, what does this quartile mean, what does this deviation mean and all, and how they are important or they are applicable in the marketing research. Now, coming to the last step of the marketing research process, now report preparation and presentation. Just after you have done your data analysis, you have understood how to analyze the data, then there is something called the report or the presentation, right, which you need to do, and you need to do it right. I have although I have taken a entire session in the last lecture series, right. So, but I need to just brief you. In any report or presentation, once you have done with the other things, you have to get right to the point in why these results matter to the firm or organization or individual, anybody. The tendency for beginners is to present all the answers and all the data, whether relevant or not. This is a general tendency. We tend to write everything and anything, right. The role of the analyst is to boil, filter and distill, so the audience receives the pure distillation. Thus, only the filtered thing is to be given to the the management maybe, so that it can help in taking a decision. Okay. So, what is this report? This report is a factual message that transmits research results, vital recommendations, conclusions and other important information to the client. When you are writing a publication, a research paper also, please keep it in mind. Do not write everything, because the scientific community understands them. You need not be putting in everything, you just interpret the data and write the report and use the data in such a method that they feel it interesting to read. Okay. The client, what is the importance of marketing research report? It says the client bases his or her decision on the content of the report. Obviously, when we even apply for a proposal or we make a report, the client's major interest is to see this report, because if they have funded us for any project, they are interested to see what is the final result out of this research which we have funded. Okay. It is a product that represents the efforts of the marketing research team, and it may be only the part of the project that the client will see. Other things they are not interested. Okay. Time and effort expended in the research process are wasted if the report does not communicate effectively. So, I will tell you everything during the lecture series one by one in this lecture series, how to even write your values. Suppose you have done a t test or a z test or any test, and then how do you write, how should you write? Sometimes people are not very clear how should they write the the data values, right, the research values basically. So, this is how you should organize. Marketing research reports are tailored to specific audiences and purposes, and you must consider both in all phases of the research process, including planning and report. So, you should know who your audience is. Must consider questions such as, what is your purpose, who is the audience, what are your audience interests, values, concerns, right. The purpose of suppose there is an oral presentation is to succinctly present the research information and to provide an opportunity for questions and discussion. You should be, your report, your presentation should be able to bring in some thoughts into the minds of the audience. She should be able to bring in some questions which they feel they want an answer for, right. Okay. To be prepared for a oral research, research presentation oral, you should identify and analyze your audience. This is the first thing. Please never talk something which an audience does not understand or it is not interesting for him or her. Find out the expectations they have from your presentations. Determine the key point your audience needs to hear. Outline the key points clearly, right. Present your points in a very clear manner. Well, this is one case which I had brought, but maybe because of shortage of time today, I am trying to close it down. I hope this lecture today was very clear to you in understanding the measures of central tendency, their real life use, and finally I just briefed you, I have not gone in details, but briefed you about how to make a presentation and even make a report, and so that the audience enjoys it, and maybe your work that you have written is published in a good journal, in a good place, so that it brings you some laurels to you, right. Thank you very much.